index funds are not sexy. Yeah. So what we see is that in all the research in the marketplace, there is no way for someone to study the past in an effort to know the future. So the largest Wall Street brokerage firms have sold their research as something valuable and important. It is not. For the individual investor, it is not. Because they cannot identify which stock is going to grow faster than another stock over the next time frame. If they could study the past and know the future, we'd all be doing what they were doing because they would outperform. Truth is, they are not outperforming, they're underperforming. There are no studies which says Wall Street's able to outperform a simple buy and hold of an index fund. So an index fund buys all the stocks in any asset class. Be familiar with the S&P 500. S&P buys the largest almost the largest 500 stocks in America. Small cap index would buy the small cap stocks in America, in contrast to an international index that would buy large cap and small cap stocks of an international marketplace.
Okay.
So those index funds buy and hold all the stocks in that asset class. They don't pick one over the other, and they don't time the trades. They're an index. They buy them all and hold them. And what we see is that there are no Wall Street firms or actively traded mutual funds that they sell that have outperformed a simple buy and hold of the marketplace over your lifetime. So in any short time frame, they could tremendously outperform or underperform. Over the longest period of time, they underperform.
Okay.
So the counter to that, Mike, is of course that I need to say that our firm has lots of track record and lots of evidence of that track record, and we have matched or exceeded the performance of the stock market with less risk.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, that we need to talk about that.
Okay. Now, the other part of this is related to retirement. So when we're planning for retirement, instead of making the big bet, we're looking for more consistency. Isn't that the case?
Yes. One of the discussions of fee-only advisor at our firm, we spend a lot of time talking to clients about their longevity.
Yes.
So it's not uncommon for people to get up to retirement age at age maybe 65 and think they've only got 12 to 14 years life expectancy left. Let's say I've got $140,000, I got 14 years to go, divide that by, I'm going to spend $10,000 a year and die at age 79 and won't have any money at age 80, but I'll be dead at age 79 because that's my life expectancy. Well, some people may know that they have a shortened life expectancy, but for the most part, a couple, age 65 today in my office, have a life expectancy approaching 25 years, which means one of them is going to be alive at age 90. And in that 25-year time frame, they're going to have lots of market cycles, and inflation is going to be pretty persistently up. So in 10 or 15 years, they're going to suffer from inflation. In 20 years, significant inflation. In 25 or more years, a huge amount of inflation. And the only way they can protect themselves from that is to build an equity-based, globally diversified portfolio. And that's what we provide for clients.
Yeah. So a lot of people, this idea of inflation, I mean, it's almost a foreign concept, and it's hard for us to believe because we've been around for a while. We remember when there was inflation rates of 10, 15% in the United States, which is high for here, and in other countries they've had even higher.
Oh yeah.
And so, recently, almost getting into deflation. And so to, again, look ahead and say, well, we still think there's inflation ahead. You better brace yourself.
Yes.
I mean, again, I think that's an important role of the planner.
Yes.
Okay. How can I apply your investment philosophy to my 401k account?
Good question. So when clients come to me, I do not get paid for managing their 401k account because they cannot leave the employer. So what I do is help them buy the best investments on their available investment list at their 401k through their employer.
Sometimes they're kind of sad lists.
Whew. So the first thing I look for are index funds.
Uh-huh.
So if there's an S&P 500 or EFI or S&P small cap, then I would recommend that they buy those index funds first.
Uh-huh.
The second choice I would look for them to buy is low cost, low turnover, actively traded funds.
Uh-huh.
I expect those funds to underperform the indexes.
Mm-hmm.
But if they, in a 401k, the employee is limited to what's available through the through the sponsor. Mm-hmm. So first thing I'm looking for is index funds. If there's two of them, I'll balance 50-50 between the two of them. If there's any low-cost, actively traded mutual funds with low turnovers, then I will probably recommend those. And after that, it's just a guess and by golly.
Yeah. So one thing, folks, is if you've got a smaller plan or a smaller company, you can place the plan. So my plan is managed through Craig's firm. And so that way we get the advantage of the diversified plans.
Index institutional mutual funds,
Okay.
yes.
All right, now, Craig, just a couple minutes left. We just had a dramatic Financial Reform Act.
Well,
and it's really a huge topic, but maybe you could just give us a couple of highlights about the impact.
Yeah, the biggest impact in the industry will be whether the SEC is going to impose fiduciary requirements on the brokerage world. So remember we said fiduciary is being transparent. Mm-hmm. All conflicts of interest must be disclosed, low cost, best for the client in all cases. In contrast to the broker, who just works with a suitability requirement which is non-definable, which is non-defensible. Mm-hmm. So do anything they want, because that's how you sell product. You do anything you want. The SEC has been mandated in the new law to perform a study and in 6 months come up with a result as to whether they're going to impose fiduciary requirements on both the brokerage world and the RIA, fee-only world. Mm-hmm. Currently, as we said earlier, the RIA is fee-only and is fiduciary under the 1940 Act.
Yes. And
the brokerage world is not. So the new president wants everybody who gives advice and counsel to the public on finance to have a fiduciary relationship with the public. My personal opinion is that I don't know how you can have a broker, a salesperson, have fiduciary responsibility. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah. So is
it doable? Can it even be done? I mean, they're like one of the things that they make money on is the difference between the buy and the sell for the stock. Those prices and so forth. So, I mean, it's sort of a hidden cost, but to quantify all that, it's going to be very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
I don't see how the SEC could do that. So it may come out that the SEC imposes no regulation, so that might be the best default choice. Mm-hmm. The best active choice for me would be for the SEC to say, look, there's a difference between fiduciary and brokerage world.
Yeah.
And public, if you want the fiduciary, here's where you go to get it. And if you want the brokerage world, here's where you go to get it.
Craig, we're all out of time.
Yep.
Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
Folks, I hope you found this educational and gave you a better appreciation for fee-only financial planners. And I hope you can join us next time on Financial Insider Weekly.